Hey, how's it going? Hey, had to fire my guy this morning. He shows up all drunk. Yeah, still talking like this. He says, "Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you." Says I was up all night drinking. I'm gonna lie to you. He says. I says, "Well, I could just go home. I can't have you on the roof shoveling snow when you're fucking drunk. An idiot." So anyway, that's what I've been doing all day. It's the first time I've had to really look at the market. I peeked at it a little bit today because I did buy some plug power the other day, like I said I was going to. Actually, plug was down this morning. It was down about 12%. I didn't put a lot of money into it. I bought 500 shares, so around $1,000 worth. And it was down 10% this morning, 12%. If I had put a lot of money into it, I would have been, I'd have been pretty disappointed. But it wasn't a large amount of money, so I thought, so I was down $100, whatever. And it ends up recovering. At the end of the day, it ends up finishing up 9% today. What, $1.97? So almost Plug Power finishes almost $2. I read an article that says the first time a fuel cell company is ever broke even. So I think Plug Power is probably going to keep going up here. I'm tempted to buy some more, but like I said yesterday, I said if NIO gets below $8, then I might have to buy some. And guess what? It got down to 7 today. So it closed at $7.09, down 11.5% today. It was NIO down again. So now I'm kind of thinking, well, now I kind of think I just want to wait for this thing to go even lower. I'm thinking now I want to get it, under $7. Then I started thinking, oh, I want to get it under the IPO price, which was 620. And then I'm probably going to start thinking, oh, if I can get it under $5. So we'll see what happens. I didn't buy any today just because it kept dropping, and I'm glad I didn't because I think it finished at the lows of the day. It was around 7. I guess it was a little higher off the lows, but not much. So I'm going to watch NIO closely tomorrow. I'm really tempted to buy some NIO right now. I really want to buy some NIO really bad. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. I see my money is officially in my Robinhood app now. So I've got $4,000 in my Robinhood app to freely trade. Usually, when I have money that I can trade, I have a hard time being patient. I really do. I just love the action. I love, buying stocks and then watching them see what they do. So that's one. NIO. I'm leaning towards NIO right now. I don't know if I want to buy any Plug Power since I already have 500 shares. I figure, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Plug Power. I think it could be huge, but at the same time, it could be a huge bust. So I'm not sure how to feel about Plug Power. I figure since I've already got 500 shares, I probably won't buy anymore. The nice thing about this Robinhood investing app is that when I used to have a TD Ameritrade app, I would always be so concerned. Like, say I had $5,000, I would end up buying $5,000 in one company just because of all the fees. So every time you buy shares, it's like $10 or $8 or whatever. So I'm thinking I might as well just make one transaction rather than 5 different transactions, right? But it's kind of a different mindset when you're using this Robinhood app since there's no fees. I might as well buy. There's so many companies that I think are undervalued to be actually with even with the Dow being over 25,000, there's still some companies that are undervalued. And when there's no fees and you don't have to factor that in to consideration, I might take my 5 favorite companies and just put $1,000 into each one, because I'm not worried about fees. I don't have to worry about a $10 fee every time anytime I make a trade or sell. I don't have to worry about those fees. So I really like that about the Robinhood app. We talked quite a bit about 3D printing stocks the last couple of weeks. It took a big hit today, at least Stratasys did, down 14%, still above where I bought it at. I bought it at $19.10, and then I sold it. Oh, I sold it at like 22 something, probably not too far where it is now. So that's 14%. I think they had earnings today that weren't very promising. Um, so that was down quite a bit. I'm not sure where those 3D printing stocks are going to go. $23 for Stratasys. I mean, I remember looking at their balance sheet, and Stratasys has actually got a pretty strong balance sheet. They don't have hardly any debt. They've got plenty of cash on hand. I think they're only valued at a little over $1 billion. They got a lot in sales. I don't think there's a lot of downside risk to Stratasys. I really don't. I think, anytime there's a big sell-off in the market, all stocks are going to tank. It's just the way it goes. If you ever paid attention in 2007, that's just the way it is. Even if stocks are undervalued, they won't go down as much maybe, but they're still going to go down. But if you look at their balance sheets, stocks or companies that have a lot of debt, not much revenue, they go down way more than a company that has minimal debt and has revenue. That's just the way it is. A company like Stratasys is well positioned. If the 3D printer market ever recovers, 3D systems, or not 3D systems, there's another 3D printing company, but Stratasys, I'm not sure about 3D systems balance sheet. I haven't really looked very closely at that. But Stratasys is in very good financial shape. They're not a company that's going to go bankrupt. They've got plenty of money, no matter what happens. So that's when I take a look at it. I might wait till it gets under $20. I think it probably will. I'd say anytime you can get Stratasys under $20, I'd say that's a pretty good deal. Barnes and Noble down 12% today. That stock is so volatile. That's one where I think the story has got to come to an end one way or another with Barnes and Noble. They've either got to go bankrupt or they've got to sell the business. They've been mounting losses for a long time. How long do you go when you're just, we've seen what happened to Sears and J.C. Penney's. Barnes and Noble is no different. It's just a matter of time. I don't know who would buy Barnes and Noble. I don't think anybody would. I think eventually Barnes and Noble is just slowly going to go bankrupt. I like Barnes and Noble stores. So I go in there once in a while and buy some books. So I like the store. I like browsing around bookstores rather than I bought books online, but I prefer going to bookstores. You can pick up the book. You can open up the pages. You can read a few paragraphs. So I hope Barnes and Noble doesn't go away, but I just don't see how they can keep operating much longer. I really don't. And if you're an investor in Barnes and Noble, I'm not sure what your thought process is there, but a stock that was down today, but it's been just on an absolute tear, is Burlington Stores. BURL is the ticker symbol. Take a look at Burlington at their chart, BURL, Burlington Stores. I think they're also called the Burlington Coat Factory. Unbelievable charts. Just take a look at that. 2014, they're around 20 bucks. And by the beginning of this year, they were at what, 175. Yeah. Now they're still, even with the drop today, they're still around 150 bucks. Unbelievable. They must be super efficient. I've been in a Burlington store before. I actually wasn't too impressed with the store, but hey, they must be getting their products for dirt cheap and selling them, and their cashiers, they're probably paying next to nothing. So it looks like they're turning a pretty good profit there. I've never even considered buying any stock at Burlington stores, but if you had the last 5 years, man, congrats. I didn't see that one coming. I did not see that one coming. NIO, I already talked about NIO, I guess, down to 709. I'm gonna have a hard time. I'm gonna have a very hard time not buying a stock tomorrow. I've got $4,000 in my account just sitting there. I'm gonna have a very hard time not buying something. It's probably gonna end up being NIO. I think if NIO drops under 7 tomorrow, I'm gonna probably end up buying $4,000 worth of NIO stock. So maybe something else will happen if something piques my interest. If there's a company that I love that for all of a sudden has some huge drop tomorrow, maybe I'll go that route. But right now, I'm really leaning towards NIO. Tilray, that's one that I was considering for a while. Tilray dropped under 70 today, 69.72, down 8%. Tilray, the marijuana company. If you look at the chart there, it's come down pretty nice. It looks like it IPO'd around $25, went all the way up to 300, and now it's back down to 69. So we'll see what happens with Tilray. I still don't know about that. They're still almost a $7 billion company. When I compare, I like to compare companies to other companies. It's hard to value a company when they're not profitable, but when you can compare them to other companies. So take Tilray. They're about a $7 billion company. Other $7 billion companies that come to mind: Under Armour, Zillow, NIO. All three of those companies that I just named, I think are probably better buys than Tilray. So I have no interest in buying Tilray, I guess. Even though it's come down from $300, that was absolutely insane. It really was. That was just stupid. Really. I mean, this is probably more of a fair value. It still even might be kind of expensive at this price. Tilray does not turn a profit. So interesting to watch, though, for sure. Sogou, they're the number 3 search engine in China, behind Baidu, a long ways behind Baidu. They're down about 8% today. I've been following them. I think Baidu is a much better value. Sogou is just too small of a market, I guess. Value wise, it's maybe if you own some Baidu already and you wanted to diversify and buy some Sogou, I get that. But if you want to get into that market, the Chinese, search engine market, you're way better off buying some Baidu stock. Let's see. Those are the stocks that were down today. The Dow was down 200 points today. There was more losers than winners, obviously. Nasdaq was down over 1%. S&P was down about 0.8%. I see the Japan here is trading right now. They're down almost 2% today. So markets are down. The bright spot, like I said, Plug Power was the bright spot of all these stocks that I follow. Plug Power was the biggest gainer today, up almost 9%. So, yeah, pretty interesting day in the market. Tomorrow's Friday already. So, we'll see. I'm trying to figure out the market cap of NIO on my on my tablet here. It says the market cap is 7.3 billion. And I look on my phone, and a different source, actually my Robinhood app, says the market cap is only 6 billion. So I'm not sure which one is correct there. But I know NIO isn't profitable, but that's such a huge market. I'm just a huge, I've said this before, I'm just a huge believer in driverless cars. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So why not position yourself? You should really spread yourself out. All these different companies. There's companies you have to have. If you're a believer in driverless cars like I am, you have to have money in Baidu. You have to have money in Tesla, NIO, even Apple, Google. If you don't know who's going to win that race. Even Ford, GM. You've got to kind of spread yourself out there because you never know who is going to win that race. So I've got some Baidu stock. Actually, my Roth IRA is pretty much all Baidu stock. And like I said, NIO is probably my next one. The only reason I haven't bought any Tesla is just because I'm still kicking myself for not buying it when it was $25. So I haven't gotten myself to buy any because it has come down to the recently, but it's still. I mean, if you compare it to, I was literally watching Tesla when it was at 20. If you can imagine Tesla being at $25, that's when I first got introduced to Tesla. It was at $25, and it literally started taking off the day that I started watching it. It was pretty unreal to watch. So I haven't gotten myself to buy any. I've said before too, when companies go on such a huge run, where they're up 2, 3, 4, even Tesla, 1,000%. I just can't get myself to buy after they've gone that far. But if Tesla ever, has some huge drop, if they ever drop, like they have earnings and they drop like 40% or something like that, then I'll pick some up. It's still going to be way higher than $25. I don't know if it'll ever get down to $25. If it ever did, they'd probably be talking about bankruptcy. So we'll see what happens. There could be some huge opportunities. Like, let's say the market did turn down. A company like Tesla, there's a lot of downside. It could fall. I don't know if it'll go down to 25, but man, if Tesla, I think it's pretty realistic to say it could fall under 100. It could even get down to 50. If that ever happened, man, you got to take advantage of that because, in my opinion, Tesla's going to be around. It'll suffer some setbacks. If the market gets punished, it's going to get punished even worse. But if you take advantage of those opportunities, man, I just can't even imagine what kind of company Tesla is going to be 20, 30 years from now. I think it's going to be pretty unreal, to tell you the truth. So, okay, well, see what happens to the markets tomorrow. I should have an update tomorrow evening probably. I've been doing these pretty late because I've been shoveling snow all day off roofs here in Fargo, North Dakota. It's been absolutely crazy. My phone is ringing off the hook. I made about $8,000 the last 7 days. So I'm putting that money in the markets, and I'm going to buy probably some NIO tomorrow with that money. So we'll see what happens. Wish me luck.